Welcome in, everyone. Today's video, we're going to do a deep dive on Google calls that came in on September 2nd. We had news after hours on September 2nd that a judge refused the government's push to force the sale of Google's Chrome browser. We had very unusual flow come in that day, and Google rallied very hard at the end of the day there. So we are going to kind of digest that flow. I want to show everybody the flow. It's very textbook, spot-on flow that is almost, just a layup almost. So we're going to look at the flow. We're going to look at the full range of the contracts. That Will did pass the contracts off, so we're going to get a good view of that as well here. So we're going to get started here, and I'm going to just kind of go over everything here. So first up, I want to show everybody how I posted this here. So I noticed a lot of long-term Google calls being hit here. We can see a lot of action on that 5:15:26. The 250 call was really being hit here, and I'm going to show everybody on the actual live flow feed as well how that showed, but this is the section that I took a copy out of here. You can see elevated premium, elevated size, clearly an opening trade just based on that volume to open interest. And when we look at the flow here, obviously, very clean entry here. You got a rise in the net call premium at the time. Now, let's move on over to the flow feed here. Very simple. So this is my flow feed, and I'm just going to kind of do a quick, slow glance here. So these are the filters that actually help me catch that flow here. So I'm just going to kind of do a quick scroll down here. Just very basic filters. Feel free to take screenshots, whatever you want here. But these are my filters, how I caught that Google flow here. Just quickly going down here. So very basic setup here, but again, here's your overall flow feed here. These came in early. I'm Central Standard Time here for anybody that's new to tuning in, but here's our flow. So our flow feed, again, this is live throughout the day, so as flow's coming in, it's ticking in. So when I'm sitting here, we see that flow come in. Here's our Google flow right here. So right away, you can almost tell from the flow feed by itself that this is very unusual here. You can see how that spot price is increasing here. So this is one sign that I'm looking for opening flow, which could be buys. See that flow all coming in here. And this is all within about 2 minutes time here. So this is what's grabbing my attention from that main flow feed already here. So what I just simply do here, I just click on that contract here, and we're going to pop this actually back to Monday or Tuesday. So here's our flow, and we're going to take a peek at the actual raw flow feed here. We're going to pop that net call premium back to. I want to touch on this a little bit as well, but we're going to look at that the raw flow feed here first. So here's our raw flow feed. You always have to take a peek at the raw flow feed. You want to see everything that's coming around that flow, just so you can kind of get an idea of what is going on, how that whale is impacting the other flow around it. So when we come down here, so here's where our flow starts to come in here. First thing I'm doing is seeing where that spot is filling. Is that spot filling at the ask? How big is that bid-ask spread here? So a little wider bid-ask spread here, but obviously longer term here, you're going to probably see a little wider bid-ask spread there. That spot's coming in at the ask. So now I'm just going to follow this flow up. So again, everything's time sensitive here. So as that flow comes in, you're just going to see that pop down here. So all the new flow populates at the top. Obviously, this being all the same time, it's going to all come in at once, which is why it triggered a repeated hits alert. So just coming up here, I'm just keeping an eye on that flow feed. So a small little drop there, but we pop right back up. So now this is where it starts to catch my attention. Okay, that flow feed that IV pops back up. Just continuing to follow it here, getting some more flow. So okay, we have some bigger size and some more premium come in here. That IV pops a little bit there. Not coming in right at the ask, but just this is why you look at the full picture here. Now this is where it should really catch your attention. You're seeing all these fills coming in here. Your spot is the fill coming in above the ask by 10 cents. That is very unusual here, and you can see that IV spike as well here too. And this also coming in on the floor. So this is just a floor trader trading on their personal account essentially. So that is also very unusual there. So that's your flow feed there. Now when we come back here and look at the movement. So a little movement on the day. Well, actually, we're going to look at the net call premiums here first. So let's go back to the 2nd here. So good tool here with the net premium. I always kind of like to look at that, just that big picture here. And we're going to actually, we'll come back to this because it's only going to knock me out the 7 days from this date. So your flow feed, obviously, making just a small, slight move up that same day. Not a massive gain. Obviously, a lot of time on there. And big premium, too, which should be catching your attention. Big premium. And just always, I like to look down here as well, too. You can see all that volume against the open interest. It tells us instantly that this is an opening trade. You cannot have, if that open interest is only 94 and you've got 7,000 contracts coming in, that's an opening trade. You don't have any open contracts that are getting closed out, so you know 100% sure this is an opening trade. So now when we pop over to Wednesday we got our big spike. So again, news pop that Google was, a judge was going easy on Google here. They weren't pushing, or the government was pushing to force Google's Chrome browser sale. So judge kind of pushed back on that. And we had Google pop that next day. So Google actually finished up 9.14% on Wednesday there off the news. And here we have some action here. So right at open, obviously we can see some action coming in here at 1565 and 1629. So that whale kind of getting out about an average of 1603. So that whale closed those at 68%. Now when we look at that flow feed here, how do we know it's closing flow? And I haven't looked at the closing flow yet, so this is going to be real time here. You can see right here when that flow comes in, it's coming in pretty much below the bid there. And you see a big spike or a drop in that IV. That is a textbook sign of closing flow. So very good sign there that this is a closing position, and obviously it's coming on a floor account again as well. So it's kind of popping back out here now. So obviously profits coming out here. And how do you know this is closing? So we had about 1,700 there plus another 13 there. So about 3,000 contracts. A lot of that volume, roughly about the same here, same day. You can see a big drop in that open interest that next day, telling us that those contracts were closed out. Now this is where it gets interesting. We're going to pop this out to Friday so I can give everybody a better view. So here's your original entry. There's your bid side action that was closed out here. So we had some more action come in here on the 4th, about roughly 3,000 contracts. Can see that there. We don't have a change in the open interest. So this whale passed off the rest of those contracts to somebody else at 1717. And we know they're not closing. We know they're not adding because there's not a significant change in that open interest. If it truly was adding, we're just going to say 3,000 to make the math easy there. This would be at about 6,000 on the day, or opening with that open interest on the 5th at about 6,000 or so, give or take. So we know those whales pass those contracts off to everybody, but that whale did leave some profits on the table. We did hit the high here on Friday of 2078 here. So that max return was 118% on those as well. So another tool I always like to kind of combine too is that net call premium table here. So this is why I want to kind of wait till the end of the video to touch on that here. Obviously, second, you could see a big spike in that net call premium. And then obviously the third, you're going to get a lot of net call premium here on the day. And you can still see we started to still move up here, but that big spike in that net call premium, we're going to see. So a little closer. Oh, that's going to give you the third. We're going to pop this back one day just so I can show you the second. So this is why I zoom out on this as well, just so you can kind of get that bigger picture as well. So a lot of net call premium here on the second, puts flat, and then there's your big spike there on the next day, and a lot of net call premium there, and we continued to run into Friday. So very good flow there. That is a very good textbook example there for buying the flow with that IV increasing, spot price increasing, and then that sell on the flow where that bid side flow is that spot's coming in below the bid, and then you have the IV decrease as well. So that's your deep dive on the Google flow there. Very interesting flow there, textbook flow. And that is all I got. Look forward to doing more deep dives here in the future. Have a great weekend, everyone.